Okay, this is a quick and dirty video. Decided to do this. I'm having my wife record because I couldn't find much online at all to do this. I've got the Bloom Ocean, the 110-degree hinges. I'm actually going to be using these in cooperation with this 5mm Kreg pin jig. So they have the 1/4 inch and the 5mm, and I got the 5mm for this specific purpose. So I went through and I drilled my shelf pin holes. And then what I decided is, there's lots of different options, is I went with the Expando. And the reason I went with the Expando is mainly because the doors I've made are out of MDF. And I wanted that extra protection there, and that's what those are made for. This could have been the screw in, but I kept it all the same because these little inserts fit right into this 5mm Kreg pin jig. So what's interesting though is, normally you would mount these to your door, and then you would line it up and drill for your latches, whatever these are called, the pivots. But anyway, I'm doing it in the reverse. I'm actually going to be installing, I've already got these here, so they need to lay out. So what I've done is I've marked a center spot here, it's roughly center, and then I'm going to actually add 2 more here. And what I want to do is, one thing to keep in mind right out of the gates is that when you set your depth collar on your Kreg shelf pin jig, when you set it so that your shelf pin just flushes out, it's not going to be deep enough for these. They're going to be proud. So you actually have to adjust your collar back so that it goes deeper. And so what I did here is, I can just put these in. This is kind of what I've done here, just quick and dirty. The reason I built this cabinet this way is there's some reasons, and we won't get into that now. This one I'm just going to center here, just go a little deeper, swap this through, and then this one will go through. Don't put your finger underneath it, it'll get you. Don't ask me how I know. And then here, all I'm going to do, just on one end, the way I like it between the second and third hole, I had to make this little spacer, which is 7/8 of an inch, because I haven't added my little face frame type thing. It's not going to be a face frame, but just going to be a trim piece. So all I'm doing here is I'm going to add another one here. And I don't need this probably, but I'm just doing this just as for peace of mind. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing over here, and then I'm going to cut back in and show you the next step. Okay, so I wanted to show you here, this is one that's drilled. This just goes into here. It goes nice and flat. Okay, so if you were to put it, like I said, in just one of these that's drilled for a regular shelf pin, you'll see you still have almost 1/8 of an inch, so it's not going to work. Okay, so now I've got 3 spots. I've got my 3 hinges, 3 hinge locations marked. And then enter these little blue doohickeys, and I'm going to put a link to these. I think these are fantastic, and I kind of just lucked into these after searching for quite a long time. So I'm going to get my door set up here and get these in place, and I'll get to go to that point. Okay, I bought 3 of these. They're these head hitch jig templates, and they have 2 different sides. I won't go into all of that, but the side that I need, the offset was just perfect. It's 21.5 millimeters from the edge to this, and that worked well for my overlay of what I'm doing. So that could be adjusted. You could put a shim and fine tune that if you want. So those fit perfectly in those Kreg jig holes, okay? Make sure that 37 millimeters up. This goes here. Just literally just plop them in place. They don't fit tightly. I mean, they fit tight enough. They're just establishing an offset. Now what we're gonna do is just gonna get this rough. There's adjustment obviously in the hinges. And okay, so now what I've done is, you see how easy that was? I've got my 3 hinges laid out. They're laid out because of this. My door, I've got these here. Anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches is kind of where most cabinets are done. Then all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my awl, mark that center hole, and that's my center hole for my hinge cup. Okay, so that's there. I'm actually going to drill these on a drill press. If you've used a Forstner bit, you'll know that that will register right in that hole, and I'll drill it to the right depth. And then I've got this, I haven't used it yet, but it's called an Inserta drilling template for 8mm dowels. Once I get those drilled, I can actually adjust the offset from the back of the door and I'll put this will actually fit, this rim will fit right into the hinge cup, and then I can actually drill these with an 8mm bit. And I will actually show that process because it's pretty cool. It actually, you have to order your 8mm bit, but this jig comes with 2 stop collars for 2 different sizes of bits. And then it actually has a depth setting, kind of like a Kreg jig. It has a depth setting stop here for your drill bit. So pretty easy. Like I said, couldn't find any of this stuff. This will work with the several of the different lines that require the 8mm plugs, the Inserta, I can't even remember all the names now. But anyway, so I'm gonna get these drilled and then I'm gonna show you how they fit. Okay, I've got my holes drilled. If you ever wondered, you can use an 1 3/8. It fits just fine. So I'm going to use my Inserta drilling template. So like I said, it actually fits into the hole, so you can actually move it out of the way. You put it into there, and then you slide up that little spacer or jig, and it actually tightens it perfectly. Then you grab your 8mm. I'm actually going to show you this real quick. Set up 8mm drill bit with a stop collar. Once again, the stop collar comes with it, but you just kind of like a Kreg jig, you just adjust it like that. So we're going to put this back in, slide that little wedge up, lock it into place. Depth is set, line it over, got them out. Okay, just insert a hinge, or any of the others that have the plugs for an 8mm. Push that down. Look at that. Beautiful. It'll start sticking in there. All right, I'll get the other one mounted, and I'll get the pivots hooked in, and then the mounting plates, and then I'll show you closing it.